welcome back to yet another Just 5 Mins. Okay, what have we got this time? Well, editors. Yes, those things. Specifically code editing or IDEs, integrated development environments. Okay. And I can't remember exactly when, but at the time of this recording, it was a few months ago, probably end of last year, 2024, that JetBrains, those crazy JetBrains people, that for a long time I used things like WebStorm for web development, which was great. And that was way before VS Code, by the way. But anyway, there was also obviously IntelliJ for I remember some Java development a long time ago. So they've been around a long time. And I was always curious because I've, from a .NET world, I've always used like Visual Studio as you do. And I'm still quite happy with that, by the way. The Community Edition it's free, and it does all the things that I need it to do, to be honest. But obviously, a few years ago, VS Code hit the scene, and I suppose I was using VS Code for like simple sort of HTML, JavaScript, CSS type stuff, and for some reason, I found it easier. Or, I don't know, it was something I can't really put my finger on. I was using VS Code because it just felt, I suppose, a bit more lightweight. And it just felt nicer to develop those types of things. And, of course, VS Code, over the years, there's, squillions of extensions that have come out. And, obviously, it's gone from strength to strength. And, of course, it's cross-platform as well. There's a lot of people, love it, hate it, all the rest of it, of course. Flavors of ice cream, as I always say. And it's fine. Isn't it nice to have choice? Goodness me. That we're not all forced to use just one thing, one operating system or one cloud provider or whatever. I think it's great. But anyway, it got me thinking because at the back end of last year, like I say, I think it was anyway, JetBrains, who make a product called Rider, which is the competitor to Visual Studio, they released, I think it feels like, I haven't used it in anger too much, but it feels like it's pretty much a full version for free. As in free for a, single developer, blah, blah, blah. If you're a business company and all that sort of stuff, then pay your money, you cheapskates. And, but I really like their tools. I really do. But things like Rider and what was the other one? There was Data Grip, which was, I haven't revisited that, but it was basically a database type environment. So think SQL Management Studio, but it was obviously a lot more cross-platform, but also for different databases as well, like Postgres, Microsoft SQL, and other, SQLite, and all sorts of different things. I haven't revisited that, but for an individual, personal fiddling around sort of case, I couldn't justify paying the money, and that's what I had with Rider. But it's really weird. Rider is cross-platform because Microsoft tried with Visual Studio to at least go onto a Mac, and they did for a while, but it wasn't a like-for-like sort of setup. It was very specific to the Mac sort of interface and all that sort of stuff. And again, I think sometime last year, 2024, they said they're retiring that. Which I can understand. It's a lot of effort to try to get them on par between the Windows thing, and obviously they didn't even have a Linux one either. So Rider is cross-platform. It works on Windows, Mac, Linux, and away you go for working in the .NET world anyway. But also over the last year or two, I think, VS Code has added a lot of extra official Microsoft extensions like C# dev kit, and you sort of have the Visual Studio-ish feel to VS Code, and you think, well, okay. I mean, I'm still stuck with Visual Studio, the normal version, because it's what I'm used to, and there's the problem, isn't it? It's you've got so much invested in, and you've worked with a tool for so long, you know where the shortcuts are, you know all the rest of it. It is difficult to move to a new environment. However, of late, I've been doing more and more with VS Code. And you might ask, well, why am I not using Rider? And that's a very good point. Rider looks really cool. I mean, and, without jumping on the bandwagon, all the cool kids, when you see the YouTube videos, a lot of them anyway seem to be using Rider and stuff like that. But again, I think it's maybe just that conceptual shift to... sorry, I hit the microphone. Will I edit that out? No, can't be bothered. But anyway, the idea is that I think it's that switch where you do need to give yourself some time to adopt a new tool for this sort of work. But interestingly, using VS Code for not just front end stuff, but the back end stuff, the .NET code, C# code, and all the rest of it, I have to say I've been quite impressed with it, really. But also the fact that VS Code, and even VS Code Insiders, which is the beta, pre-version, but even the stable VS Code release, it tends to be updated a little bit more with the extra nice things in the AI world. Certainly GitHub Copilot, with agent mode and some of the more advanced models like GPT-4o1 and Claude Sonnet 3.7. I know Visual Studio has got a few of these, and they come around, and they do make fairly quick updates. But VS Code, I think, just because of the way it's architected, makes it easier to add these things. And I'm noticing I had to do a non-trivial task of using some, dare I even say the word? Yeah, come on, jQuery. Right, don't shoot me. It's an old JavaScript code base, but I must admit, with agent mode on in VS Code with Copilot, GitHub Copilot, yes, there is a free version, by the way, on that, just to keep in mind. Although I'm still, because I'm just used to paying my $10 a month to Microsoft to get the extra token credits and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, there is a free version, but it's a non-trivial task and some fairly complex stuff that is at least 7 or 8 years old, at least. And I was quite surprised. Again, it all comes down to this, you hear it all the time, prompt engineering, which has not gone away. But I think it is how you term, phrase, whatever you want to call it, your prompts, and you've got to use a bit of patience and you've certainly got to use a bit of common sense as well, and make sure you're using things like source control, because if it goes and changes stuff that you're not expecting, at least even if you've made a branch in Git or something like that, you can delete the branch, start again, or roll back the code. So that's a definite. But interestingly, it did a really interesting job of work that would have taken. It was just tedious work. Not that it was overly complex, although it certainly has elements of that. But it would have taken me a good day or two. And it's generated it in about an hour or so with me playing about with certain things. But anyway, the whole point is that it's this cross-platform environment. So VS Code, cross-platform, running on Mac, running on Linux. Rider, running on all the major platforms. And so that's the thing, is why haven't I moved over to something like Rider? And that's the interesting thing, and I'll let you know how that little journey goes. It's been out for a while. Like I say, for me, the hook was when end of last year, 2024, when JetBrains released it free for sort of like individual personal use type thing. So I don't really have an excuse. But that's what I've got for this time. A bit of a whiffle waffle really about that, but it is interesting what is available to us. And if you want choice, my goodness, you've got choice. You could use whatever you want. We've gone way over 5 minutes as usual. So I'm going to leave it there and wish you all have a good day, a good week, whatever you do. And we will catch you on the next one.